Good evening and welcome to Abstractus. Tonight, Expressionism. Last week we did abstract expressionism. Basically, no images, no figures, no objects, no landscapes. Expressionism is a totally subjective approach to painting, what one feels about an object, and in a way it's the opposite of Impressionism. I know it's too many isms, but Impressionism and the Impressionists were mainly concerned with getting a quick impression of a landscape. For instance, Manet did that. Quick landscape, in a matter of hours before the light changed, they interpreted an impression of that moment in time. The expression is totally different. They're more concerned with internal subjective feelings. For instance, if I did a painting of a woman and I have feelings for that woman, whether it's good, bad, those feelings should come out in the painting, even if it doesn't look like the person. So expressionists usually had bold colors, dynamic colors. Drawing wasn't really that important. It was very paintings were messy, but very intense in feelings. When thinking about the subject to do for today's painting, one of the first ones that came out was the Jesus Christ of the crucifixion. I've done this painting before. What we're going to do today, I've done the same painting before. It's an image that I find very striking. Not that I am a churchgoer, but the idea of the crucifix has always been very inside me. And when I was a student in the Christian Brothers school, I remember always the crucifix, and I remember being strapped and at the time seeing the crucifix at the back of the wall. So much for turning the other cheek. But it's an image that has stayed with me. So, and I think it's ideal for this because it's not so much getting it right, but what my feelings towards the crucifix. This photograph I took this afternoon at the cathedral. It's a lovely sculpture of Christ, and I think it's something that would be very suitable for today's paintings. The Expressionists, and you'll see in the photos, a lot of them actually did crucifixions. It's always been part of our history. Anyway, I'm going to quickly start today by drawing a rough, and I say rough, outline of the figure. Remember what I said before, drawing doesn't have to be exact. It's feelings. I'm just going to get the composition right, so I'm going to go start drawing and see how I get the figure, and hopefully everything will more or less fall into place. But like I said, I'm not going to waste too much time over the drawing. All that can be corrected at a later stage. Try and get the nose more or less in its place. I don't know where you can see this properly in the camera, but I'm just trying to quickly copy the features of the face. You know, there's an eye there. And then all that will then be covered and changed or whatever. Hold on. Some hair coming down there. I mean, this is quite a tricky bit, and like I said before, I'm trying to speed up the process. I don't want to spend too much time boring you with my drawing. Drawing is something, like I've always said, is like it needs a lot of practice, and it's not an easy subject activity, but it's nothing to do with inspiration or anything like that. Drawing is primarily, it's a technique that you learn. So the more you practice, the better it should get. We'll quickly try to see if I've got the figure in place. Life drawing helps for this. If you attend life drawing classes regularly, see, now I'm getting a distortion of the torso, which I might even exaggerate later on as the painting develops. I'm using a sort of charcoal pencil, which is very quick to work with. It gives you a very light line, but then you can quickly rub it out. And you know, it's a media I particularly like quite a bit. I'm going to try and get the beard in its place. I've actually changed now to a thick charcoal to start getting the lines better defined. And another thing I forgot to mention earlier on was the fact that the canvas, as you've obviously noticed, is not white. I just gave it a coat of green, brown, basically to get rid of the white. I mean, a painting like this, white you don't need. So why waste time going round? You just cover the canvas and then you paint on it. So I'm now going to sort of finish off the drawing. Again, this is not an anatomy class, like I said before. My concern with the Christ is obviously the suffering of the guy on the cross. I mean, especially if you see the films lately, and also the flesh part, the dying, the suffering, and that sort of human frailty is why I chose the Christ. Apart from what I said earlier on. So it's an ideal figure. It always strikes chords in people, whether you're for it, whether you believe in it, in your different religion. It's an image that instantly creates that feeling. Going back to the Expressionist, they started in it's obviously Van Gogh and Gauguin for me were the first Expressionist, but really the term was first coined in 1905. The German Expressionist group, there were two groups, Die Brücke, which means the bridge, and Die Blue Rider, whatever, which means the Blue Rider. Came from a painting by Kandinsky, the Blue Rider. These two groups were the first German Expressionists. And they more or less, they were dissatisfied with the way art was progressing. It had become stale, you know, with photography. Why paint realistically? And we covered this last week with abstract expressionism. There was no need for realistic painting. So really, with the Expressionists, people like Munch, Schiele, Gross, Max Beckmann, the list is endless. These guys started saying, no, why copy a photograph? Let's put in our feelings into the painting, our subjectivity into the painting. Anyway, I'm going to do the thorn thing, crown of thorn. You see, I'm not even bothering with the drawing. I'm just giving an idea of what I feel a thorn is like. So this shows basically what Expressionism is. I've more or less got the face in place. Now what I've got to do is fix all this, and I'm going to destroy it in the end, but it's just, it gives me an outline or a starting point. You know, you can see the beard there. The whole structure's there now. I'm going to fix it, and for that I'm going to get probably the cheapest type of fixative there is, because charcoal needs to be fixed. Hairspray. The cheapest. If you're a student, you can't spend money because fixative is expensive. Get some hairspray and it does the job perfectly. Once I fix it, I let it dry for a couple of minutes and then I can paint over it, and I still have my grid, my drawing there for me to go back to. Quick spray. It's going to smell like a hair salon now. But believe me, this works just as well as fixative. And it's a lot cheaper, but it smells probably better. So you can see the charcoal darkening. I obviously give it a good coat of hairspray, so the drawing is always there.